Hello, 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 hello. Should transgender individuals be precluded from military service? Should transgender individuals be precluded from military service? Please like and subscribe on YouTube and set yourself up for notifications so that you're always in the loop when I'm doing YouTube commentaries. Thank you to my friends at Parks Casino. You can get lucky in no time at Parks Casino in Shippensburg, PA. They're celebrating their second anniversary, a perfect time for you to take my recommendation and check out all the excitement, the entertainment that they've got to offer. Parks Casino Shippensburg is in central Pennsylvania. It's 100% smoke-free, less than an hour from Harrisburg, the state capital. What will you find inside? You will find warmth. Although the temperature has been getting warmer in the Northeast, thank goodness. 500 state-of-the-art slot machines await you. 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, plus a great daily happy hour. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, usually Parks Casino Shippensburg. Every Friday is comedy night. This Friday, Kevin Downey Jr. from America's Got Talent. Saturday, live music, Cameron Molly and the Drive-In Wheel. Plus, you can wager and watch all of your favorite sports and Bet Parks kiosks in the side pocket and enjoy the Side Pocket Stadium menu all weekend long. So Hagerstown, Maryland, Winchester, Virginia, Chambersburg, PA, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and many, many more. Get in on all the action. Parks Casino Shippensburg, located right off Interstate 81. Visit parkscasino.com. You've got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. For the benefit of those who are watching on YouTube and wondering about the pin in my lapel, I love the story behind this. Part of the story is that I have a moth problem in my closet at home. And a moth put that hole in my lapel. And it's one of my favorite sport coats that I bought for CNN. And it really bums me out. So I could either just leave it just like that, or I can put my pin in it. And I decide to put the pin in it. And it's not just any pin. Do you remember Ann Richards, who was the governor? I've told this story before, but it bears repeating. Ann Richards was the governor of Texas circa what would this have been? 1988, and delivered a keynote. Richards or Richardson? Delivered a keynote address for the Democratic convention. Richards, yeah. And delivered a keynote address. And she said, relative to Papa Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, remember this line? Poor George, he can't help it. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth. And it brought the house down. And of course, Bush wins the election and has a good relationship with Ann Richards, the Texas governor, his home state of Texas. And he so loved that joke and that ribbing that he commissioned silver foots to be made, feti, which he then distributed to his greatest supporters, like his inner circle, one of whom was a Philadelphian named Reds Bagnell. And I knew Reds, and I've known Reds family over the years. He's gone. He was a football phenom at the University of Pennsylvania when Penn played serious college football. And his family, after he passed, gave the silver foot that President Bush had given to him to me. And I now wear it proudly on my lapel. Yesterday, poll question at Smerconish.com: should the U.S. use tariffs to pressure countries such as Colombia to accept deportation flights of their nationals? You know the whole backstory. 62.64% of 30,035 said no, don't do it. David Sanger, for whom I have great respect, writes for the New York Times, best-selling author, questioned President Trump recently at Mar-a-Lago before he took office, and I commented with Mark Halpern about the dynamic of that interview. Sanger, writing in the New York Times today about Trump and his handling of the Colombian president, said this. I thought this was instructive. In the end, it took only about 12 hours for President Trump's first head-to-head confrontation with one of the United States' closest allies in Latin America, a blow-up over Colombia's rejection of U.S. military flights to return illegal immigrants, to result in a complete retreat by the target of Trump's threats. The Sunday diplomatic debacle with Colombia had elements of all three, but it was also instructive about how foreign policy decision making in the Trump White House happens. Ready? There were no policy papers or situation room meetings to weigh options or talk of a quiet mission to de escalate tensions with an ally whose cooperation America needs on a variety of problems. That would be how a dispute over returning Colombians deported because they were in the United States illegally would be resolved in an ordinary presidency, whether the president was Democrat or Republican. In this case, perhaps there just wasn't much need for internal debate, and there's more to Sanger's analysis. Today's poll question at Smerconish.com: should transgender individuals be precluded from military service? I knew that famously Barry Goldwater, and you've got to remember Barry Goldwater, who lost to LBJ in a landslide, was perceived as being too conservative. The Arizona Republican senator was perceived as being too conservative for his times. And yet it was Barry Goldwater who said, you don't need to be straight to die for your country. You just need to shoot straight. I didn't realize that he actually wrote an op-ed with that opinion in 1993. After more than 50 years in military and politics, I am still amazed to see how upset people can get over nothing. Lifting the ban on gays in the military isn't exactly nothing, but it's pretty damn close. And Barry Goldwater then goes on to explain his view. As I've said, you don't need to be straight, you just need to shoot straight. Of course, the reason that I'm asking this question today, and it's a perfect day to have Admiral James Stavridis, the former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, on the program to discuss. President Trump signed an executive order yesterday directing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to revise the Pentagon's policy on transgender troops, likely setting in motion a future ban on their military service. He also ordered troops to be reinstated who have left voluntarily or been booted for refusing COVID-19 vaccines outlined in new rollbacks in diversity programs, and provided for the deployment of a space-based missile defense shield for the U.S., all on Hegseth's first day. The transgender ban had been widely expected. Trump's order largely sets the stage for a future ban, but directs Hegseth to come up with a policy on how that would be implemented in policy. So here's the nitty-gritty of it. In the order, Trump claimed that service by troops who identify as a gender other than their biological one, quote, conflicts with a soldier's commitment to an honorable, truthful, and disciplined lifestyle, even in one's personal life. And he says that's harmful to military readiness, requiring a revised policy to address the matter. I want to just give you a little preview of something that, if all goes according to plan, tomorrow is going to be contained in the Smerconish.com daily newsletter, and a special guest on my program to address this issue. It'll be an essay written by an individual who I know well and with whom I've had a professional relationship, who has served for 15 years in a National Guard. This is an individual who has served as a Black Hawk pilot and has served in combat zones in Iraq and other operations overseas. She begins the essay that is still in draft form for my newsletter for tomorrow by saying, I grew up in a religious and conservative house. I was homeschooled all but 2 years of my K through 12 education. I considered myself a conservative until 2016. I'm still religious today. And then she goes on to explain in great detail her family's service to the United States, comes from a family rich in military service, talks about her background joining the National Guard and the deployments that she made, and then explains how she's had symptoms of what she now knows to be gender dysphoria since she was 5 years old. And then explains how this recently became an issue for her military service, but how well she was received by superiors and colleagues in the service. So this kind of brings it all home. And I think we'll bring it all home for many of you, because instead of talking about the story in the abstract, tomorrow in great detail, you're going to hear a very personal account of how this has impacted one individual, said to be one of like 15,000 who are trans and are serving their community. So please make sure you go and vote on today's poll question at Smerconish.com. Should transgender individuals be precluded from military service? I'm with Barry Goldwater, especially at a time when the military is behind on all recruitment, meaning in each branch of the armed services. I don't think you turn away people who are willing to wear the uniform for their country and to put their lives on the line. So I say there's got to be a way to continue to maintain the service, including of the individual who'll be a guest on tomorrow's program. And I hope that they can work this out. I guess it's not a surprise where Trump had said as much during the course of the campaign. There has been a whirlwind of news and information. The immigration crackdowns, the firing of the inspector generals, the freezing on federal aid for many different agencies, the ban on transgender soldiers. It's hard to keep pace, but I feel pretty good that today's newsletter and the website at this moment in time have a nice encapsulation from all sorts of sources that in total will provide media balance, which is the purpose of my newsletter. So kindly go and vote at Smerconish.com. Should transgender individuals be precluded from military service? Like and subscribe for YouTube. Thank you for that. And set yourself up for notifications so that whenever I'm offering thoughts and opinions, you can join me and be here. Okay? There you go. Where's my pin? This lapel right there. There is my lapel, the silver foot. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you on radio real soon.